Essentially, what we're doing today is finding a calm place inside ourselves. So the whole focus is on just not needing anything external. So acknowledge, listen to the voice inside your head, whether it's positive or negative. And what we're going to do is identify with the awareness behind the thoughts, behind the voice, and behind any feelings that you have, whether they're positive or negative. Whatever it is critical about or positive about, whether it's my voice or something in your life that you're experiencing. And just listen to the voice here and allow yourself to unhook and just focus on becoming more calm and alert. So the idea really is that you're coming into a place where you feel calmer. So the purpose, if there is one, really is to move into a calmer, more relaxed state. And to do that, we're going to focus on identifying with awareness, not our personality or who we think we are. So the awareness is what you really are, pure awareness, beneath the layers of habits, personality, and ideas. So to do this, we're going to use self-inquiry, which is something that is very powerful and effective, to just identify with the thoughts as pure awareness. So you're identifying with the awareness behind the thoughts and behind feelings, and you're noticing that they're just waves, they're just patterns. So to do this, we start with the self-inquiry, which is simply asking, who is it that is experiencing right now? Who is it that is thinking these thoughts? Who is it that is feeling whatever the feeling is? And sometimes it's useful to label the thoughts or feelings if they're quite strong. Sometimes it's useful to not label them and just leave them as just with the question, who is thinking? Because then you don't bring in anything that's too strong, with too much of a strong association, whether it's positive or negative. So sometimes it's best to say, who is it that is feeling this feeling, rather than labeling it as joy or stress or whatever it may be, because those have strong thought patterns behind them, and energetically they've been repeated a lot by yourself and others. So that helps to keep the mind calmer and more neutral and objective. And so you may notice that with these questions there is a feeling of calmness, or there is a loud and clear response, or a response from your mind saying something along the lines of, well, it's me, or I am, especially if you've identified strongly with these patterns, with these thoughts and feelings, which is all we ever really experience underneath everything. It's either a thought or a feeling, or a thought about a feeling, or a feeling about a thought. So sometimes you can have a feeling come along out of nowhere, with no real thoughts that have caused it, and then you start thinking about, why am I feeling this way? Or you can have a strong thought process, which is what is underneath everything, from beliefs to ideas to mental constructs about the world. And so to really just understand and meditate on the fact that everything is either a thought or a feeling, really. Fundamentally just a thought about a state of consciousness. So with this meditation, what we're going to do is really start to look through that process, start to look through that illusion of being a separate self, and come back to the calmness and the stillness and the peacefulness that is already here, without mental images, without external ideas around things that we need, people that we need, expectations that we need to happen to be happy, or to have relief, or to find a solution for something or someone. And we're going to identify instead with the pure awareness, which is aware of these states. Who is it that is aware of these thoughts? Who is it that is aware of these feelings? Who is it that is feeling nervous? What is it that is aware of these feelings? What is it that is aware of these thoughts? And so, if we keep coming back to these questions, and we keep coming back to a very quiet mind and a very still mind, we allow ourselves to start to realize that the pure awareness, the empty and clear consciousness, is what we really are underneath everything. And that simple, clear, powerful truth is the key to being free of the rush that we find ourselves in, or the stress of finding something external, or avoiding something external, whether it's whatever it is, even if it's a so-called positive activity. These often are just distractions, another thing to add on, like adding another plaster onto a negative state, a negative feeling or thought. And so that's why these states can go on for many years, many decades, a whole lifetime. So that's why self-inquiry is so powerful and has made so much difference in my own life, to really come back to a really foundational truth that is in so many traditions around the world, in mysticism and in the way a lot of ancient teachers have passed down. And that is that awareness is free. Awareness is always free. You can always focus on something else. But the key is not to focus on something else. The key is to focus on awareness. So it's not thinking positively about stuff or things or people. It's not trying to find a solution. It's not about positive thinking. Although all these things have their place and time, and this practice allows you to clear away your day-to-day consciousness and to purify it, and to make sure that it's not got too many things in its stream. So if you think of it like a bright torchlight, and each thought is maybe a filter of a color, or a stencil that you want to project onto the wall, which is your mind. So every time you add something on, it gets slightly dimmer, and these needs and wants and concerns and desires keep adding on over the years until the light becomes dimmer and dimmer. And so positive thinking is just another filter, another thing to add on. So is any kind of external process, whatever it is, yoga practice, herbal tea, whatever it is, even if it's positive, and also if it's negative, if it has a destructive pattern to it, whatever it is, it's always adding on something extra to your pure awareness. So this practice is a uniquely clear and powerful and incredibly simple way of purifying your awareness, purifying your pure consciousness to its natural state, removing those filters or dissolving them by dissolving the identification with these states, and dissolving the identification with the idea of being a person who has these states. And that is the fundamental truth behind being a person, which is just an idea, which is what a lot of people have known throughout time and said it in different ways. So yeah, what we want to do is just keep coming back to that calm inner place, which can be found through questioning, using self-inquiry. Who is it that is feeling? Who is it that is thinking? Starting off with this practice by sitting still and having a quiet mind. And you can carry these questions throughout the day, and they really help to just start to identify with what is always there, what is always clear. Your awareness, which is what you really are, behind the concept of being a person. Your work self, your family self, the self that is in the gym, the self that drives or goes on the train or the buses, the self that walks in the parks. These different modes, these different thoughts and feelings and ideas around being a person can be seen through. They're still there, and you still have self-love and all of those positive qualities. However, you just start to identify with what you really are, which is that unchanging, pure consciousness.